What's up, YouTube? Today I want to make a short video of how I made an ice heater for only $80. Let's just get right to it. This right here, assembly, is how you'd buy this. Now this is 115 volt, and I got 115 volt because I have a generator where we duck hunt and want to keep water open in some spots. There's no electric, but I have a little EU 2000 generator, should run this fine. I didn't want a 220. It's just not going to work. So 115 volt VEVOR, VEVOR well pump, and this is on Amazon for 115 bucks. I was going to buy one 2 days ago. I found some guy at Marketplace 15 minutes from me, and I bought this for $80. So that's where we get the 80 bucks from. Normally, when you buy this, you receive this. It has a 30-foot cord on it as well. You'll buy this, and it'll be assembled like this. The idea is this motor turns this spline shaft very, very fast. When it turns it, there's some type of suction set up in here, and this normally has a filter around it, which a couple screws. This is normally like this. So it pulls water in, pushes it out the top, and it goes to your pressure tank or wherever you want the water to go. I was looking for some type of motor that could be completely submersible and something I wouldn't have to try to waterproof. Electric and water don't go together, obviously. So I'm not using the idea of, this is not pushing water from an intake and outlet aspect. This is propulsing water. So I made this little fan blade. Basically, this is a little hillbilly prop for now. The goal would be down the road is to probably buy like a 9.9 prop and put it on there, and I feel like it'd be a lot better. But all this is, these are 10 inches long total. This is 16th inch flat stock. It may be a little bit thicker, I'm not sure, but this is just all stuff I had laying around. So it's 10 inches. I put it in the vise at a certain spot on both sides, heat it up, bent it. See that? And I welded this spline adapter on the back of there. To get that spline adapter, when you take this motor apart, this spline adapter will be right here. There's a Phillips head screw on it. You have to grab it with a pair of vice grips from the side because it'll spin. Grab it from the side and take your screw out. Then you have a spline adapter, which is perfect because I was wondering, how am I going to get something on there without welding it? And if something happens to this or this breaks or you want to change the angle and all that, then you're screwed because you're welded on there. So this is like perfect. So all I did on the adapter, I drilled a hole through there. I drilled a hole straight through here, the spline. And this only goes on one way. Goes on there. For now, I just have a cotter pin. I just want to see how this does. I tested it last night in the barn, just out here on the floor, and it is surprisingly fast. Very, very fast. So I'll grab the camera and come over here and show you a little bit more. I guess before I do that, this is a piece of angle iron that I set this on. If this is any better, it's pretty heavy. A piece of angle iron that I set it on. I used some, I think this is half-inch or half-inch rebar I had sitting in the back, and all I did is welded and made a little mounting bracket for it, and then it's held on with 3 hose clamps. I think that'll be enough. The hose clamps are pretty tight. I don't think I'll have any problem with it. It actually doesn't vibrate as much as I thought it would. I thought with not having the 100% correct measurements on here, like when you angled your fan or your prop, I thought it would vibrate and shake a lot more because obviously this is not balanced, but it's not bad at all. So I made this platform to sit down in the water. These are 24 by 24. So that way when you sit it in the water, it's not going to shake and basically sink and then ruin. This is going to be running overnight when we're not there. So I wanted to make sure I had a nice platform for it to sit on. And I'll grab the camera and kind of show you a little bit closer. So this is a little bit closer up video for you guys. There's 3 hose clamps on there. I put another one a little bit less tight over here just to hold the wire. You don't want this wire getting anywhere around here. I'll probably put another one back here. The worst thing that could happen is that float up here and it cut and ruin your motor. So yeah, this is a little prop blade. Honestly, not bad for literally a vise over there and figuring this thing out in a couple hours. There's your spline adapter that I welded on the back of there, and the cotter pin. Like I said, these are 24 by 24, and the puppy's just sitting on there. I put it at a little bit of an angle. I think that we'll see how this works, but I think that I should have put it at more of an angle, because normally we'd be putting it on a bank that slopes that way, and to have it kind of shooting up, I kind of want it like shooting up and bubbling out. So we'll see how that goes. But let me plug this in and show you guys. So it moves very, very fast. Obviously, it's shaking a lot on this table. I think some of that may have to do with this not being 100% balanced, but I've set it out on the ground outside. It's not that bad at all. And it doesn't really matter to me because all it is doing pushing water. So I'm gonna jump in my buggy, drive over to the duck hole, and throw this in there. There's about 1.5 inches of ice on there right now. At least there was 1 inch there yesterday. It's 19 degrees. I'm in Ohio. There was about 1 inch there yesterday, and I drove my buggy through it to break it up. So I'll have to do that again, and then we'll see how this works. But see you in a second. All right, so we drove around. This ice is actually really thick. It's about 1 inch thick in most spots. Some spots it's almost 2 inches thick. So we busted this up a little bit. I did go back home and take this prop off and cut it down to only 2 inches on each side. So there's 4 sides, so 2, 2, 2, 2. For this motor specifically, it was the props were too big. It kept kicking the generator. Also, the EU 2000 would not run this with the bigger prop on it. I don't know if it would run it now, but just saying. Also, I got it kind of kicked up. I'm going to turn it on in a second and show you. But this way, it's actually throwing water up, and it's moving this ice pretty good. It's only been in here for about 5 minutes. It's actually cutting through the ice. So I'm going to turn this on in a second and just show you what it's doing. So it's been out here for about 45 minutes, and you can see how it's still pulling. It's actually pulling the ice this way. By the time it gets around here and comes back, it actually is kind of making a loop like this, and this is actually eating through the ice. I don't know if you can see that, but any ice chunks that are getting sucked up into the back of it, it's breaking them apart, almost like a blender. So we'll see how it does, but I mean, so far so good. And like I said, some of this ice, I mean, we're at 2 inches thick on some of this stuff. At least 2 inches. This is a true test for this, honestly. All right, it's been about 2 hours, and really, for how thick this ice is, it's doing a really good job. It's opening up farther over into here. Everything keeps rotating. So I'd say it's doing pretty good. I just got back from checking on that thing a couple of times. I will say, first of all, like I said in the other video, I think the 4-inch prop on each side, so basically I cut those at 10 inches. They were 2 inches wide, so you only had 4 inches on each side of the prop, all 4 blades. 4 inches is too big to run that motor. It's just when you put it down in the water, it kept tripping the breaker on the generator. And I had that on the EU 2000 or the 2200, whatever it is. Definitely too big. So I took out my Predator, my bigger one, and it was still tripping the breaker on there. That being said, when I got back, I cut it down to 2 inches on each side and just made my bend on the vise, and we took it back out there. It's working really good. It's kind of hard to say how good it's working, only because, I mean, there's 2 inches of ice out there. I don't even know if there's anything on the market that's going to keep up and keep that flowing with 2 inches of ice. I would say right now it probably has open about a 25 by 25 hole, which for us tomorrow, if I'm leaving the generator running all night over there, if that hole's open, the birds are going to land in that hole. I would like to use it another time just to see, you know, if maybe it has a 1/4 inch of ice, 1/2 inch of ice, how it's going to work on that. So I guess that'll be another test I'll have to do. Also, when you stick that down in the water, I was not able to, if I stuck the entire prop underwater, it was still working, but you could hear a pretty tremendous load on the generator. It never cut the breaker off, but what I found is if right there at that spindle in the middle of the prop, if you would just put that, say this is the water, put that right there, so half the blade is out, half the blades are down, that worked best, and it actually is throwing the water as well. VEVOR does make a 220 or 230 volt well pump, so I may try to mess with that. It's just having to haul that big generator out there. I guess it's not too big of a deal, but I would rather 115. So I'm not giving up on this yet. I still think it's doing a very, very good job for what it's going against. I'm still going to try to modify a few different things, and I'll have all summer to try to figure something out. I would like to make some type of bracket to where you can lower and raise the pump depending on what water you're in. I'd also like to build a shroud around the prop. I would also like to maybe build a very nice prop or buy a very small prop and just test it out. We can test it out in a creek or a pond around here and just see how it does. I'm just wondering if when you put that, if you're able to put the whole prop under the water, if it would actually shoot more water like up versus doing what it's doing now. At the same time, what it's doing right now is probably best because there's so much ice. I mean, there's 2 inch chunks of ice coming around there, and those blades are just eating through it. So for what it is, it's for $80, and I spent like 4 hours last night making that bracket and welding and stuff like that. It's doing very, very good. So if you like this video, give me a like. I try to post a lot of video. I do excavating. I have a small excavating company here in Columbus, Ohio. If you like stuff like that, give me a follow. I post about a lot of attachments and stuff like that. And just, I do a lot of weird putting stuff together here myself and just think about something and try to make something work. So I would definitely say for 80 bucks, man, I bet if it had a 1/4 inch of ice, 1/2 inch, it would do really, really good. It's just not able to push all that water as far because there's 2 inches of ice stacked up on top of each other in that whole swamp area. So if you like this, give me a follow. If you have any questions, I'll link the description for this pump. But I think I've went over everything pretty much. So hope this helps somebody.